Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers, and join me to talk about the very talented defensive end out of Washington, represent the Huskies, Bralen Trice from FirstRoundMock.com, former NFL draft scout, Mr. Daniel Kelly. How you doing this afternoon, DK?
Hey, Mr. Landers, I'm doing well. Just coming at you live from Key West, Florida here, trying to get all these last-second evaluations done. The draft is almost here. The clock, the Chicago Bears are on the clock, and the clock won't stop for anyone, including me.
No, it will not. But, guys, before we get into this draft analysis, draft prospect look, if you enjoyed the episode, give it a like, follow, share, and subscribe on all of our social media channels, being Facebook and YouTube. Also, go and subscribe to our podcast, which we upload every single week. Well, DK, I'll hand the ball off to you like a good running back, and I'll let you kick things first out of the gate. Give us your thoughts on Bralen Trice coming out of Washington. What do you like about the young man?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Landers. Thank you so much. As you can see there, number 8 on your screen, Bralen Trice, Washington, 6'4", 276 pounds. That's right. This is one of the big boys. And I looked at him on game film extensively and studied him a lot before releasing this evaluation. In 2022, I evaluated him in 4 games. And in 2023, I looked at him and studied him against Oregon, USC, Boise State, Utah, and Oregon State. So a lot of games total. And really, this guy reminds me of the Kansas City Chiefs, George Karlaftis, who went number 30 overall in the 2022 NFL Draft. Big George, of course, comes in and checks in at 6'4", 263 pounds. So we have a similar size dynamic going here between Trice and Karlaftis. And, of course, he played and produced 10.5 sacks for the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. But he's not only like Big George in terms of his playing size, he's also has some other things in common with him. Karlaftis, of course, had a big background coming out of Purdue with MMA and hand-to-hand combat. And, of course, Trice, there you can see on your screen, does have a background in karate as well. That I learned through my research online. So basically, in a nutshell, Trice there is really a combination of brute power and strength. I have a picture of him on my site is FirstRoundMock.com where he's folding back. That's right, folding back. 6'6", 334-pound Oregon State offensive tackle Talilise Faluga, like he's one of those folding picnic chairs, Mr. Landers. and so he's one of the big boys that has this kind of power that can fold back guys who are 334 pounds, which is incredible, awesome brute power. And if you're looking for someone, your team is looking for someone who can collapse the pocket in the 2024 NFL Draft, just write down the name Bralen Trice and send in a card on draft night because that's him. 10 sacks in 2022, followed up with 7 sacks in 2023. And oh, by the way, 80 pressures in 2023. Insane numbers, according to Raiders Today, Sports Illustrated. Another big trait, if you will, that I dig of Bralen Trice is his relentlessness. This guy, and then let's circle back for a moment to Trice's karate background, because this is another trait that I really like about Trice. And something that really stands out in game film is that Trice understands the art of leverage. This is very important to grab a hold of. The biggest thing really that he has going for him outside the relentlessness is that sixth sense, if you will, a sixth sense for areas of vulnerability, whether it's to the outside shoulder of either offensive tackle or to the inside shoulder of either offensive tackle. He has a nose for the slightest of creases, outside or inside the blockers that he's matching up against and facing. So what does Trice look like on game film? Let's unpack that. He roams from side to side pre-snap, just kind of like one of those predator pass rushers. He just tries to go back and forth, testing both tackles, testing them in multiple ways, trying to find a way into the pocket and into the pocket to get to the quarterback, okay? He's a guy that can either go outside on you, or he can slip back, as I mentioned, back inside into a gap and press the gap hard, okay? Really hard. I want to emphasize that. This guy, he puts that all that weight he has, he puts those 276 pounds into that crease, into that gap, and presses it hard. This is a guy, or he can switch it up on you, and he can run what's called an X stunt. An X stunt is when, of course, an edge rusher and an inside interior lineman kind of cross faces and go across, making an X, and then kind of to try to confuse the offensive line blocking assignments. And he can find his way into the pocket that way. Well, once he's into the pocket, look out. He had delivered some wicked and devastating shots on quarterbacks once he was inside the pocket and got to the quarterback. It's the type of hits that gets into a quarterback's head. It's something that he will remember, which factors into the game and changes some of the game dynamics. It's like really like when you watch Bralen Trice rush the passer, it's really like watching a human-sized bowling ball. Those bowling balls, if you've gone bowling out there to our listeners, and you see this bowling ball. Well, this guy is a 6'4", is a 276-pound bowling ball, if you will, and he just slices right into the pocket and works his magic. He has the type of raw powers I mentioned that could put grown men, growing offensive tackles on skates, as we called in scouting, and drive them right back into the quarterback's face. Let's unpack. We'll bring it in from the 30,000-foot view down to putting Bralen Trice under the draft microscope and really focus here on the positive and negatives. Of course, as I learned from Tony Rosano's book when I first learned how to scout when I was 17, to Secrets NFL Scout, there are no 10s, so there are pluses, there are minuses with all these guys. Let's unpack the pluses, the positives first. Biggest plus with Bralen Trice, he is quarterback minded. This is the way I would talk if I was sitting in an NFL war room and it was my turn to talk. Quarterback minded. What does that mean? It's a term I phrased in scouting. It means he has one focus and one focus only, and that is destroying the other team's quarterback and getting to him and making that kind of a difference in the game. Physical guy, brings a lot of physicality to the table. Lumbering force of nature, a battering ram. You ever seen those old police shows or movies where the cops show up and they
There you go. Just knock the door down.
Just knock it down. Just said, there you go. Just a big battering ram right into the pocket. That's what we're looking at here, okay? A consistent effort, active, determined chases, really a handful. I think that I hope that's the takeaway from this show for everyone who's listening. This guy is a handful for blockers. He has a quick get off the snap, sit up, and quick, just boop, boop. Quick get off the line of scrimmage, quick first step. He's got long arms. You can see there on your screen. Of course, what the long arms do for edge rushers and defensive linemen is they allow for these type of edge rushers like Trice to create separation at the point of attack. You get into the tackle, you push out, you extend out, and you create separation, which creates space to be able to come off those blocks and be able to make your move and get into the pocket from there. Or on a run stop. He's got different pass rush moves in his arsenal, in his pass rush toolbox. He's got a rip and go. He can do that. He also flash spin and swim moves on game film. He loves playing bumper boys against the big boys inside. This guy thrives on contact, loves just banging around inside with the trenches. And he also too has no quit in him. That's a big one. That's a thing that I love. This guy's going to earn his paycheck. Ain't backhanding any kind of paychecks. Ain't taking plays off. This guy doesn't quit. Often against the run game, he plays contained on the outside, and he is disciplined. I want everyone to get a hold of this as well. He is disciplined to a fault. However, this will be an NFL defensive coordinator's type of dream player because however the play is drawn up, that's the way he's running it. You know, with the X's and O's, when you have the line going, which way a player should go, this guy will follow that map to a T. Even if it means that he's out of position or whatever, he's going to stay on the outside and play contain when he's assigned to play contain. He's going to go into the right gaps. He's going to do what he's asked to do. This guy is coachable, which is a big plus in the National Football League when it comes to game plan. It's the kind of guy that coaches look for. The minuses, the negatives, I promised we would get into that for a moment. He does lack short area burst. Short area burst is very coveted amongst pass rushers. When you get into the pocket, they have that little second little short area burst to close and get into the quarterback. He does not have that, but like I said, he is like that human bowling ball. He also struggles to disengage from blocks at times. He's a little bit raw there. He does need some work there. He can't get tied up with blockers. Have a hard time shedding blockers, coming off, disengaging, and making plays at times. And he also has questionable instincts against the run. Okay, how I'm going to conclude and land on this one, Mr. Landers, before I turn it over to you, is I can see Bralen Trice going somewhere in the first round. That's right. I have a first-round grade on him. I'm sure everybody can tell by how excited I am, how much I like this guy. I undergraded George Karlaftis coming out. I put like a second-round grade on him. I learned my lesson from that one. And when it comes to guys like this, they are first-round talent valuations. Between 25 and 32, like I said, is where I have Trice landing, and I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers circled as being that team that will take Trice. That just seems to be a really good fit there with the Buccaneers. However, if he slips past Tampa Bay, I also have my eye on San Francisco, the 49ers at number 31. This guy is a guy that, you know, those playoff type teams, the rich, Mr. Landers, are only going to get richer with a guy like Bralen Trice. I turn it over to you, my friend. What are your thoughts on Bralen Trice, edge rusher, Washington Huskies?
Seems like we are back now. Don't you love technology, DK?
I sure
Don't you
do.
love it so much?
I sure do. You know, in Key West, Florida, we are actually closer to Cuba than we are to Walmart. So I've come to experience a lot of technology fun. There's
So
no such thing as high speed internet down here. We
no,
use
no,
like
of
we use
course
like
not.
two cups with a string in the middle. That's our high speed internet down here.
Yeah, I look back and I'm like, wait a minute, why is my computer all this? Why is it not showing what I'm supposed to be saying right now? But I'll do some post work edit there, and no one will see this unless you're watching it live. That's what you got to get. But overall, I just want to give my synopsis and whatnot of Bralen Trice again for those who may not have heard. So we'll start here. Bralen Trice is a guy who is impactful. He's a guy who, as you mentioned, I would call him Mr. Relentless because he pushes the point of attack. As you said, that could be to his strength or to his weakness. That's why he can get burned in the running game at times. Mm-hmm. I think that Bralen Trice is a guy who is that rare breed of players who, and I know you're very harsh, very critiqueful on players who give effort, and Bralen Trice checks all those marks because you don't really ever see him take a breath, let alone stop his hard work. Mm-hmm. So I think that Bralen Trice, whoever drafts him, like you said, I think that he will be first round talent. He definitely has that. The fact that he can push big 350-pound linemen around already, and you can see he's already got the NFL body out by his photos. He's got the strength. You mentioned he's got his mixed martial art combat and whatnot, so he's able to get that done as well. It just adds to his freakish athleticism. But Bralen Trice is a guy who is going to move markers, I think. If he gets on the right coaching staff and the right scheme, he's someone who we could see maybe leading the league in sacks one day, potentially, if everything pieces together. I think this kid has a tremendous upside, and I can't wait to see where he goes in the NFL draft. Mr. Kelly, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, that's some really good stuff, Mr. Landers. I completely agree. This is a guy that's going to make a real difference, and that's what you're looking for here in the first round. Is rounds 2 through 7, you're undrafted guys. Those are guys that you hope pan out, but you got to get the first round right. And what you're looking for in the first round is an NFL team. As far as what's in my mind is you're looking for game changers. You're looking for difference makers. You're looking for guys who can move the meter. You're looking for guys, especially in this pass happy league we live in now, where 32 out of 32 teams, pass the ball more than 50%. I mean, for more than 50% of the time, that's something, that's very, very important to be able to find guys that can, on defensive side of the ball, who can, be able to get to the quarterback and be able to stop the pass. And that's where the significance and the value of a Bralen Trice comes into play here, because, he's somebody that gets inside your head. Like I said, those quarterbacks' heads and those offensive, where's Bralen? Where's Trice? Where's he at? Which side's he coming up? What's he doing? It's somebody that you're aware of. And that's a game-changing player that I look for big things from in the National Football League going forward. Excited to see this young man play, and excited to see where he lands on draft night, which is going to be here real soon, Mr. Landers.
Yes, it is. And I will say this as my final thoughts. Offensive lineman, you might want to pack an extra bag of ice whenever you play this guy, because he is going to hurt you. But I think this kid's got a lot of upside, as I mentioned, and I can't wait to see where he lands here in just a few short weeks at this point. Well, as always, Mr. Daniel Kelly, I appreciate you coming on the program, talking about Bralen Trice, defensive end coming out of Washington. Guys, if you like the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, we'll talk to you on another live episode.